Spiritual balance is very important in your walk in this truth. I want to begin by giving all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the other apostles, great millstone who rule well, and citations to the Most High's men in the four corners of the earth, pushing His word of sincerity and truth. And shalom to the sisters that support and subscribe wholeheartedly to the message of deliverance and salvation of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Bishop Brother Banyunyan for Best Mississippi, with an intrinsic topic going into balance. And I wanted to use an account on how Jethro, okay, which was a heathen, so to speak, but he had recommended unto Moses to set out individuals as well to be judges, that he did not all of the judging himself because it would ultimately destroy him. And what would destroy him? A lack of balance. Being in balance to the point to where all you're doing is bending one way. The only place that you're going down is one avenue. And the scriptures also state that an unjust weight and an unjust balance is an abomination unto the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So we have the examples put in place for us to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, but also being able to balance these particular endeavors that we are constantly involved in this thing called life. Because here on planet Earth, you need balance in order to stay fervent in the spirit. You need balance in order to basically guide you out. Guide you out of what? Guide you from where? Guide you out of your own way that leads to confusion, that leads to being imbalanced, chemically imbalanced, spiritually imbalanced, physically imbalanced, psychologically imbalanced, and even like certain environments that you're in, you have to disconnect. Many years ago, I remember we always used to say we have to disconnect from the matrix or unplug from the matrix, because Babylon the Great is a dark pit, and that's why, even how this place is physically low, morally low, spiritually low, it can bring you and draw you into a sunken place to where, you don't know whether you're coming or going, but you have to pray unto the Most High to give you the light, give you the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and shed some light on your path, as He continues to be with you and guide you in your particular everyday endeavors. But going one particular way, 100 miles per hour, it always leads down to a road of destruction, because you're not allowing yourself the ability to absorb pivoting or adapting or being involved in something that may be completely different, out of the norm, so to speak, because even having a routine can sometimes make you imbalance, because when that routine does not go exactly as expected or as planned, and you having the inability to adapt, pivot, and adjust, they can put you in a frantic, they can put you in a frenzy. So being able to balance everything out to the best of your ability, is truly a gift, and the ability to have spiritual balance, that's one thing that you have to pray for. That way you can balance out doing your videos, you can balance out doing your sit downs, you can balance out having your downtime, you can balance out congregating, you can balance out doing the work, you can balance out working, you can balance out self-health, self-care, self-awareness, etc., etc. Because in order for us to continue to be beneficial unto the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai in this work, in this labor, we have to find balance in balancing all things. And even having too many things to do can bring forth a level of imbalance. So it covers that as well. It can cover balancing out the few things that you're involved in, and then balance covers cutting off things that are over excessive. If your to-do list is always 17 miles long, just meaning overly doing it, then you have to learn prioritization, which is also balance. And if you have nothing on your plate, then you need to learn balance. That level of lack of also does not destroy you. Because we live in a society to where death is on every side, and death can come for you whether you're doing too much, and death can come for you if you're not doing anything at all. Because Satan, he roameth about seeking whom he may devour, and whatever those particular voids that you have that you're not truly covering or shielding, as in boxing, it says protect yourself at all times. So if you're having multiple vulnerable moments to where you're not shielding and protecting yourself through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, with praying, examining yourself, and practicing and rehearsing balance, then Satan can seep in with different levels of capturing your mind. Because everything always begins with what? It always begins with a thought. A thought typically manifests itself in a word, and a word, along with the thought, usually proceeds by action, by activity, and whether that's good or whether it's evil, but at the end of the day, that's the conjuring up of all things known to man. Everything starts with an idea. So whether it's wicked or whether it's righteous, it always starts with an idea. But practicing that level of balance, it goes into how the scripture says that you prove your soul. You basically try out those things that are beneficial for it. And meaning what? That those things that are beneficial unto you, you do more of it and you add more unto yourself. But those things that are not beneficial, you have to cut it off. You have to cut it off, minimize it, categorize it, prioritize it, etc., etc. And then any particular level of lack that you may find through your self-examining process, you pray unto the Most High, to help you deal. Whether, it's politely just simply, removing that thorn or removing that plague from you, or is it to him just completely just kind of restructuring your life itself to his particular fashion, but that'll also be able to answer your prayer and place you in a level of balance, because to be balanced is truly the essence of being level-headed. And when you're level-headed, you're able to think more, you're able to speak better, you're able to articulate yourself in a manner that you mean to. But anything that goes into excess, there's always an overindulging negative side effect. Whether it's too much food, whether it's too much drink, whether it's too much alcohol, whether it's too much partying, whether it's too much free time, whether it's too much freedom, all of that ultimately just always ends up to having a negative side effect to whatever you are involving yourself in. And that's why balance is a beautiful trait, a beautiful characteristic. It's a beautiful possession to actually have, because balance shows that an individual has discipline, at least more so than not, because the world doesn't have balance. The world doesn't have discipline. And that's why you see the same people out at the same places. You see people doing the exact same thing over and over and over and over again, because they have a spirit of overindulgence. They have a spirit of carnality to where they have to constantly only please the flesh. I'll never forget having this conversation with some jakes in the world. It was a guy and his lady, and they were saying that they can't sleep unless they're listening to rap music. It's like, I have to listen to rap music every night before I go to sleep. He said, if I don't listen to rap music, he said, I can't sleep. But that's just an individual whose conscience has been completely covered. It's been seared with a hot iron of confusion, because balance will let you know that you can listen to rap music, but you also need to listen to music without words in it, or you need to change the genre of music every now and then. You need to introduce yourself into, something a little more laid back. Because if you're always just in the giddy, 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 kill it, kill it, kill it mentality, that does what? That does something to you psychologically. But when you're able to balance things out in between, having your leisure time, having your downtime, having those moments where you want to turn up, those moments to where you're serious, those moments to where you're happy, those moments to where, you reel things back in. That's the true essence of balance, and being able to serve Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, without too many distractions and without too many hindrances. So I just pray that this was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I'm going to end off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekaha Kwadash. Double honors once again to Elder Apostles, great millstone who rule well. And citation to you brothers and your sisters out there. Until next time, I say Shalom.